You'll hate me when you find out what I did behind your back. But you never noticed I was breaking in silence first. I didn't betray you for pleasure. I did it because surviving beside you was slowly killing who I was becoming. What I did behind your back wasn't planned revenge. It was a desperate attempt to breathe when you left me no air. You'll hate me when you learn the truth, but you never asked why I stopped telling you everything. I became someone you wouldn't recognize because being myself around you was never enough. I hid my actions because every time I told you the truth, you used it against me. What I did behind your back was ugly, but it was born from months of swallowing words you refused to hear. You'll hate me for crossing that line, yet you kept pushing me closer to it every single day. I didn't wake up wanting to deceive you. I woke up tired of feeling invisible beside you. The secret I kept wasn't about betrayal. It was about protecting the last piece of me you couldn't reach. You'll hate me when you know, but you never noticed how lonely I became while standing right next to you. I did it quietly because loud honesty only earned me punishment, not understanding. Behind your back, I chose myself for once, and that's the part you'll never forgive. What hurts isn't that I hid something, it's that I felt safer hiding than being honest with you. You'll hate me for the action, but you'll never hate yourself for what pushed me there. I crossed a boundary because staying inside yours meant disappearing completely. I kept my secret because every truth I shared before became a weapon in your hands. You'll hate me when you find out, but you never loved me when I begged you to notice. What I did behind your back was wrong, but it was the only moment I felt free in months. I stopped explaining myself when I realized you only listened to reply, not to understand. You'll hate me for choosing silence over honesty, yet you taught me silence was safer. I became careful, secretive, and distant because openness only led to pain with you. What I hid wasn't a thrill, it was a survival instinct you helped create. You'll hate me when the truth surfaces, but you ignored every warning sign before it did. I did it behind your back because facing you felt more terrifying than the guilt. The secret wasn't born from desire, it was born from exhaustion. You'll hate me, but you never asked why I stopped trusting you with my thoughts. I didn't betray love. I betrayed the version of myself that kept waiting for you to change. What I did was the result of too many nights feeling unheard and unchosen. You'll hate me when you know, but I already hated myself for staying silent so long. I hid the truth because honesty with you always came at a cost I couldn't afford anymore. What I did behind your back was a quiet rebellion against feeling powerless. You'll hate me, but you never hated the way you made me doubt my worth. I chose secrecy because vulnerability with you felt like standing unarmed in a war. What I did wasn't impulsive. It was the final chapter of a long emotional erosion. You'll hate me when the truth is exposed, but you ignored every cry for help before it was hidden. I kept it from you because I was tired of apologizing for feelings you dismissed. What I did behind your back was less painful than confronting you again. You'll hate me, but you never loved the parts of me that needed patience. I became someone I don't recognize because staying the same meant constant hurt. You'll hate me for the secret, but you never questioned why I stopped sharing my heart. I didn't lie because I wanted to. I lied because honesty never felt safe with you. What I did behind your back was the consequence of being taken for granted too long. You'll hate me when you find out, but you never noticed how much I was fading. I crossed that line because every boundary I set with words was ignored. What I hid was my last attempt to protect my sanity. You'll hate me, but you never hated how easily you dismissed my pain. I kept the truth from you because telling it felt like begging for empathy again. What I did behind your back was born from emotional starvation, not malice. You'll hate me when you know, but you never loved me when I needed you the most. I didn't mean to become this person. I was shaped by everything we never resolved. What I did secretly was what I couldn't do openly. Choose myself. You'll hate me, but you never hated the silence you created between us. I became distant because closeness with you came with constant pain. What I hid wasn't excitement, it was relief. You'll hate me when the truth is revealed, but you ignored it when it was still visible. I kept my secret because explaining myself felt pointless after so many failed attempts. What I did behind your back was my quiet exit from emotional captivity. You'll hate me, but you never loved me enough to listen.